I was in the bathtub, taking a relaxing bath and not playing with rubber duckies because I am a mature and grown 21-year-old woman. Definitely not playing with rubber duckies. When suddenly I had this shower thought, or rather bath thought, I guess. The SN Island is just there for moral support. Wait, no, wrong thought. But shameless self-promo, go watch Toon Love Island if you haven't already. Link is in the description. What I actually wondered about was why the heck do some toons have clothes while others are straight up naked? Yes, I'm looking at you, Seedly. So I did what any other YouTuber does. I decided to turn my thoughts and experiences into content. Welcome to my new series called Thoughts I Think, otherwise known as THIT.
MDN, you should probably rename that.
Dang it, you're right. Why are some toons Chapter 1. Analyzing toon designs. Take a look at these two groups made up of different toons. What is different from Group A versus Group B? If you said clothes were the differentiating factor, you'd be correct. Toons such as Bassie, Poppy, and Ginger wear dresses with tights. Some toons wear both top and bottoms, such as Dial and Finn. However, some toons don't wear anything at all. If you're an artist or have dabbled in the world of film, storytelling, game design, or anything else that requires some sense of originality and creation, you've likely heard of the term character design. Character design is a visual art which focuses on the full creation of a character's aesthetic, personality, behavior, and overall visual appearance. And something else that's very important regarding character design is something called visual clarity. Visual clarity in character design is the ability to instantly communicate a character's roles, personality, and silhouette to the audience, basically ensuring that they're recognizable at first glance. Key elements in visual clarity include color palettes and readability between characters. So when talking about Dandy's world, from a design standpoint, if you have too many fully dressed characters, you're gonna have cluttered visuals and everything's gonna kind of mesh together. But on the flip side, if you have too many simple characters without any clothing or additional accessories, you're gonna end up with boring designs. So game creators like to mix the two. They like to mix detailed, clothed characters and simple, unclothed characters in an effort to keep the cast visually interesting and easy to differentiate. I also believe that's why there's some half-clothed characters, like for example Roger and Bobette. They have like tops but they're missing pants, so that might be a key element for their design. Character design can really make or break a character, and good character design usually results in people recognizing the franchise behind it even without seeing the full render. For example, what is the first thing you think of when you see these silhouettes? Yeah, Mario and Mickey Mouse. Wait, who the heck is that?
Toon, 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 toon.
These characters are very well known, and part of the reason is due to having a very strong character design. So when looking at Dandy's World toons, lots of this applies to their designs as well. For instance, we know that the silhouette of the toons pictured here, going from left to right, are Cosmo, Dial, and Brescia. But if I go ahead and brighten these silhouettes up, they'll look quite odd. Well, why exactly is that? That's where psychology comes into play. Chapter 2. The psychology behind this. My first year of college was spent doing prerequisite courses, one of them being Psychology 101. It honestly was probably one of my favorite classes ever, and I managed to retain a lot of the information we had been lectured on. There's a term in cognitive psychology known as categorization. Categorization is the fundamental cognitive process of grouping objects, people, or events into classes based on shared characteristics to make sense of the world. In simple terms, it deals a lot with pattern recognition. Think of our brains having buckets, where we group toons based off their appearance. Since the very first impression we got of Cosmo featured him fully clothed with a top and pants, our brain immediately placed him into the clothed bucket. And vice versa, since the very first impression we got of a toon like Yata featured her without any clothes, our brain subconsciously put her in the unclothed bucket. Something else that I believe contributes to this is a phenomenon known as uncanny valley. Uncanny valley is a term used to describe something that appears human, but deep down, we can tell isn't. I won't be including any images because this honestly dives into horror, and I don't know how many of you guys can take that, but I bet you've seen an image of a being that appears human-like, but you can tell isn't really human. Researchers have concluded that the reason we experience the uncanny valley phenomenon is as a leftover survival mechanism to differentiate friend from foe. So, I believe that when it comes to toons, our brains subconsciously associate toons that wear clothes clothes to be more human-like, and the ones who don't to be of some other species. Basically, we're mildly experiencing the uncanny valley phenomenon, so when we take a toon that is usually clothed and unclothe them, our brain is interpreting them as a different species or being. This in turn just makes us feel awkward and weird, whereas we don't feel the same way initially with a toon that is usually unclothed. Pretty cool stuff, honestly. Thank you, psychology. Chapter 3. Identity Anchors. This idea joins together character design in art and media with scientific reasoning from psychology. There's a term known as identity anchors. Identity anchors are any external symbols such as clothing choices and grooming routines that reinforce an individual's internal self-image and mental state. Identity anchors serve as signals to our brain that help differentiate the characters, or in this case, toons, from one another. So for example, when we look at Seedly, the main thing that he's very much recognized by is that stupid pose that he's been doing. No, I'm just kidding. The main point of recognition for a character like Sprout is his pink and white scarf. Due to identity anchors, his design, and previous psychological phenomena that we had discussed, our brains opt out of thinking of his scarf as being separate from Sprout. Instead, we associate his scarf as being a part of him. Even though Sprout is one of the more scandalous characters, when we remove his scarf, he still looks very odd. Identity anchors is why removing certain accessories feels wrong, even though the character technically still wears almost nothing. This occurrence explains why accessories become symbolic and almost inseparable from the character's existence. It gives us that same feeling people feel when they see other characters missing very key elements of their design. Think, for example, Mario without his hat, Sonic without his shoes, or SpongeBob without his pants. The item becomes psychologically fused to the character, and so our brain goes through this occurrence due to both character design and psychological reasoning. Final thoughts. While only the creator of Dandy's World would fully be able to answer why some toons are fully clothed, whereas others are straight up I think this video serves as a silly and honestly educational topic that I enjoyed putting together. But I do have my personal answer, which I think is that clothes don't change how a toon really looks, it just changes how our brains treat them. Like I stated earlier in the case of Sprout, a scarf can be an identifying key feature for that toon and character, and therefore removing it makes us feel a little odd. And when we have toons like Dial or Cosmo that are fully clothed and remove those clothing, again, it gives us that weird uncanny valley-esque vibe. The toons are just existing, they have no responsibilities, they have no shame, and you know what? Their body, their choice, I don't know. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give it a like and consider subscribing for some more content like this. I am planning on making Thoughts I Think a little series, and so I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions that you've been wondering about Dandy's World, silly ones like this one, that you would want maybe answered, please leave them down below and I'll make sure to feature your comment in a video. Feel free to leave your opinions down below on why some of the toons are half clothed or no clothed or fully clothed. I look forward to seeing what all of you lovelies say. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and as always, I wish you all an amazing, wonderful day. Stay safe, and remember that you are very, very loved. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!